Hello everyone, I'm Black Marvin. I'm a progressive psychedelic trance artist. I'm a professional sound designer, and I'm also a teacher for electronic music production. Today it's time for the part two of my tutorial about cycle synthesis. So a bit like I guess the Star Wars movies or Lord of the Ring movies, if you're watching part two and you haven't watched part one, might feel weird. So if you have not, I suggest you go watch it. Link is in the description, and then you'll be up to date with what is about to go on today. Cycle synthesis is a technique I developed while working on the bank Carta for Kilohearts, and it involves stacking multiple layers of small audio cycles. We're going to continue where we left on part one. We had one great layer that we established, and today we're going to stack some more layers. So let's dive into it. All right, we are inside Faceplant, and we're going to continue the preset that we started in part one. Also, I noticed something. Lately, we installed a cat tree inside the studio, actually, because our cat, Maurice, was always tempted to go up on the speakers and also on the acoustic panels, and that was really stressful and destructive. So we installed a cat tree. But now I noticed that he's like very much in the frame. He's like sleeping right here. So yeah, I guess he's just part of the videos now. We'll see about that. Anyway, let's focus on that preset. To be honest, I remember what we did. I guess I had something very specific in mind, and I don't quite remember it, but it's quite easy to snowball the preset at this point. What I mean by snowball is just to, once we are set up, we can kind of rapidly make it evolve. So we're going to do one of my favorite commands in the Kilohearts ecosystem, and that is controlled left click, and we're going to duplicate all that. So what that does basically is it copies everything that we had. And that also includes all the linked to the modulators. That's very useful because we're most likely going to have to use pretty much similar settings, but we're going to unlink these filters. I'm just gonna start like from scratch here. So also that and that. And we're possibly going to use new modulators for that because we really want the randomness factor to be at its maximum potential. So the first layer we had was really high pitch. It's taking care of everything that's in the high frequencies, and it's very tonal. There's two more layers I want to add, and they are going to be more bass layers. So we're going to go and select something that is a bit more into, less into the high frequencies and a bit more, there's a bit more meat in it. I know that for the first layer, I did something with my voice. I could do something similar, but I think you get the point. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here inside Carta. And inside Carta, you have sources dedicated for that type of synthesis. You have analog sources, dark voices, Foley, impact tones, source from instruments, source from nature, and sustained dark tones. Let's go sustained dark tones and see what this is. There's some atonal stuff, which basically means it's just not tonal enough to be qualified as tonal. I guess that didn't need to explain that. That's pretty self-explanatory. But let's go with dark sustain C and C. Maybe it's going to be too dark for what we're going for, but let's try it. Okay, that's too dark. I think first what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower the volume of this. Okay, so I went inside dark voices, and Abyssal Voice 2 is perfect. It's perfect for what we're going to do. And what's really cool also is when you open these, they are pitched correctly. So it's pretty much plug and play. First, I'm going to disengage this one. And for this one, we're going to have to do a similar thing that we did for the first layer, and it is to set up the cycle because, it's cycle synthesis. So we need to set up the cycle. So we're going to pick a place where it should cycle properly. That's nice. It's fun because I have like it's been a while since I worked on this one, so it's kind of fresh again for me. I'm gonna go ahead and cycle some modulators here. I'm gonna go a bit faster because I did that in part one. So if you didn't see it, I suggest you check out the link in the description and go see it. So a couple of things happened here. I did reduce the number of pitch stack, also reduce the detune because since it's like a mid slash bass layer, I want something that still has some kind of nice steady tonal properties. We are also set up in regards to the modulators that are randomly modulating the cycle. Now let's set up the filters. I think I want to reduce a bit the presence of this from both ends. That makes more sense now. It's very cool, crazy textures, but because I know I'm gonna layer it up with some other layers, I filtered a bit the top end. Also, I preserved some of the low end. And what's really cool about the Kilohearts ecosystem is that if there's some anything like wrong when I'm done with this, I can always slap in a slice EQ and fix everything because that's how wonderful this is. But of course, like everything in sound design, if you can get it right, like as early as possible in the chain, why not? So I feel now it's pretty clean. Gonna bring back layer one. That's really nice. I think from part one, I was maybe heading for something a bit more meditative, and now it's kind of a bit more like cinematically. I don't know. It's like it's not menacing, but yeah, it's more cinematic now. And although it could be already good right now, just because I can and just for maximum like educational purposes, I'm gonna add a third layer. And I'm gonna go even more faster now because you're almost a pro in psychosynthesis now. Okay, so I want to show you. I have this Foley here that I took inside this folder. It's basically a Foley sound. It sounds like this, which is nice. But we're gonna use it as a very low foundation. And in order to do so, I'm gonna again get a proper cycle and filter it accordingly. So far it's really cool. And in terms of like the cycle movement and modulation, I think I'm not gonna touch it. The reason is sometimes you need to remember this phrase, and that is don't try to fix something that isn't broken. So I think it's good right now. So I'm not gonna do more. But what I'm gonna do now is test it. I guess you saw I dropped it by 12 semitone, and I just want to test all the layers and see if they make sense together. All right, I am experiencing a phenomenon right now, and that phenomenon is it happens sometimes with like pad sounds and bell sounds that sound, yeah, that has that those bell resonance. I'm getting resonance nodes that can be possibly a problem that is due to, like I said, the whistling bellish nature combined with the, that pitch stack thing. Super cool in terms of sound design, but we need to clean that. I'm gonna go here, and again, that's something I like about the Kilohearts ecosystem, being able to fix things right at the source. We're gonna take this right here, and this is basically a bell. And we're gonna go and frequency hunting. Let's see where's the problem, and we're gonna take that out. That partially fixed it, and now there's something we need to do anyway. Since we have all these layers, I think they go well together. Maybe a bit less detuned now since we have the big picture. And yeah, that's something we really need to do because that's complex synthesis. We need to carve the filter and clean that up to make sure it's going to help unify all those layers and make them blend together. That sounds really good. That's going to be the pre-filter, and we're going to do a post filter right here. That's really cool. Actually, now is the time to it's the time to decide if it's done or not, because with the Kilohearts ecosystem, I can make a masterclass of 60 minutes just about that. But I think the idea was to focus on how you can create nice cycle sources and make some atmospheres and pad with that. But we could stack so many things in there. I think I'm gonna do one last thing, okay, just for fun. We're gonna bring a multipass and some dual delay in here, and let's see if we can enhance the. Actually, it's to create more movement, but you really need to be careful because you don't want to induce muddiness. You want them to make like the atmosphere is just richer. So that's why multipass is good instead of just putting like a dual delay here, because if you put it here, it's gonna affect the whole spectrum. While if we're on multipass, we can easily just work on the mid band, so we can kind of clean the top band and the low band at the same time. So let's see what we can do with this one. So that delay brings something really cool to the table. We're gonna keep it like this. One last thing I suggest we do, and the idea came to my mind, we're gonna control everything with some compressors, okay? Because we can, and because with that many sounds, we're gonna control that. So let's bring in some compressors on each band. And first I'm gonna set up one, and I'm gonna go back from band to band and just make sure there's nothing too crazy happening. Now that feels much better because I could still hear those whistling peaks that were scratching my ear. Um, like the EQ didn't do exactly the job, but controlling the frequencies with compressor on each band, it gave us like a proper wall of sound, and it feels like everything is together. It's gonna help also giving us that feeling of consolidation from the sound, and now it feels like it's a wall of sound in control. So, and yeah, that's something I had to do in the bank Carta many times, because when you give users some preset, they need to be able to use them on any notes without any problems. So, but yeah, this actually, it's something I suggest that you do on all the presets you create in Phase Plan. It's just so wonderful to be able to have such a huge amount of control on the sound, and it's the only thing I know that you can do this inside the synth. All right, I'm gonna stop here because, like I said, in the Kilohearts ecosystem, we can keep bonifying and bonifying the sound. It just never stop. So I need to end it somewhere, and that's where it ends for today. And that's it for this video. Today, I realized that the videos I have a harder time deciding when it ends is the videos I do in the Kilohearts ecosystem. And really, that's because there's like no end. You really have to put an end to the sound design process yourself, because there's always something new to add. But at some point, I guess you need to be reasonable, especially if you're making some videos. If you're alone with, yourself and doing some sound design, just you can go crazy on it. But yeah, I had to put an end to it. If you need some help with learning electronic music production, I have a community of students that I run. There's some group lessons, some one-to-one lessons, and much more stuff. If you're interested, you can come and have a chat on Instagram, and we can discuss about how we can help you become a better producer. And in the meantime, I wish you happy producing. I will see you in either a video, a lesson, a stream, or who knows. See you soon. Happy producing.